Ron Artest. That is a fake name, but you're a real person. What's going on in your basketball games?
I don't know, man. A lot of people, they get really upset with me. I guess because I'm not that big, but I think I'm pretty good.
How big are you?
Not that big, like 5'9", 145.
Okay. That's accurate.
As a 5'7" guy, fuck you.
Bill,
God gave you a gift, and you should live with it. But continue.
that is a very pint size for a basketball player. So what are you in, a men's league?
Yeah, so essentially I'm in a men's league. There was, an incident a couple weeks ago. Basically, we're playing a team that we played in the beginning of the season, and they're like way bigger than us. They're
5'11"? I'm sorry.
No, I'm talking about they probably had a dude who was like 6'3", maybe like 250, 260,
Okay.
A couple of guys like that.
Okay.
And they're some of their skinnier guys are definitely skilled. But anyway, first game of the season or that we played against them, I think we came out super strong. We were up by like 15, 18 at the half, but then, they just bully balled us, came back and won the game.
Okay.
And then we met them in the playoffs, game one of the playoffs, and, we're beating them bad. We're up by like 16, 18 points with like 2 minutes left. One of our teammates just dropped one of their best players, like a crossover, sent him flying. And, obviously we were all celebrating and they were upset. Anyway, end of the game, like, maybe like a minute left or something. Random little scuffle happened with my teammate and one of their teammates. I kind of hopped in there and, one thing led to another and just turned into a brawl. Then basically the other team, they kind of like didn't like me already. So they kind of came after me. One guy, he swung at me a few times.
Now you sent us video of this?
Yeah, definitely. I sent you a video.
Well, we're gonna check out the video real quick and react to it. It's not that long, so. Shane, you ever play basketball?
Yeah, I'm 6'4", so.
You has to. Could have been volleyball. Oh, well, it's definitely chaotic.
When does it transition from a group hug to? Oh, there it is. Okay.
I hope like the two people fight and roll like right in front of the camera. Like,
Yes.
Could you guys fight this?
The cinematography.
This way?
Like close to the camera.
Yeah.
Did anyone ever hit you?
Yeah, so I got hit in the head probably like 3 or 4 times. Honestly, my head was hurting for like roughly a week. They got me right on the temple. So you could see like when it goes into the hallway there where you can't see it anymore, you could see the guy kind of chase after me. I think his number was 15 if I'm not mistaken. He kind of came in, they grabbed me. One guy grabbed me and then this guy started taking shots at my head.
Okay.
He hit me like 4 times. But obviously I didn't want to be phased. I walked out of there. You could see my jerseys all like pulled because they were grabbing me. And we talked to the cops. The cops already were there because someone called the cops after the brawl.
Okay.
We showed them the video. We sent everything
Now, hold on.
in.
What's the response time on these cops to a basketball brawl?
They showed up kind of late, to be honest. Like, we were already all outside ready to leave, and then we see the cops pulling up.
Yeah, I can't get cops in Dallas to
15
show
minutes,
up for a
20
shooting.
minutes.
No.
Yeah.
So, Shane, have you ever been in a fight on a basketball court or seen one?
Yeah, I've been in so many fights. When I was young, yeah.
You, really?
Oh yeah, I mean, it's really embarrassing to look back at. But I'm from Wisconsin. I'm from La Crosse, Wisconsin. Most bars per capita in the entire United States, and so there was one. It's cold and boring, and so there's not much else to do besides drink too much and get in fights. And then, but yeah, when I was younger, that was it was a big part of, and also UFC was brand new back then, and it just started, and it didn't have the rules that it has now either, and so there was like a little bit of like, you'd like play UFC with your friends or whatever, like, hey, no punching or kicking or whatever, we just like do headlocks and whatnot, and that's how you would train, and then you'd feel like you're pretty good, and so then you'd want to be out in the wild, you'd want to take do
now,
that.
Has this always been your personality? Because I can't imagine you instigating a fight. Have you always been kind of go with the flow, or is that...
Okay, so like I said, I'm 6'4", so I've always been a tall person, and I'm very, very thin. I used to be even skinnier. I think when I was a teenager, I think I was 155 pounds.
Okay.
And 6'4", so about the skinniest kid in my class. So if you're tall but you're like really skinny, like short guys want to like the opportunity to like fight the tall guy, and and I definitely wasn't like in the cool kids club, and so like I was like a little bit of a target, and so like how I responded to that was I'd be like the crazy guy, or I'd be like the guy that would like I talked a lot of smack, basically.
Comedians.
Yeah. I mean, basically, like I wasn't like a class clown or anything, but basically, so if someone wanted to fight me to like show off to their friends or what, like they might win the fight, but what eventually they would learn is they would end up with some like nickname that would stick with them for longer than the bruises would last. So like it eventually just like wasn't worth it. And
I love that as a deterrent.
Yeah. So I mean that's so I definitely have. I think I didn't know this, and I come off like a chill guy. I always thought of myself as a chill guy. But I got like a bit of anxiety and anger in me, and I can flip. I've definitely like flipped out on audience members in my younger years as a comic as well. Like I've made things like uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I
think you got to be a little crazy to be a comic.
think so.
Absolutely.
Alyssa, have you ever gotten in a fight or been involved in one?
Not physically in a fight, but I've been like a part of a fight before.
What does being a part of a fight mean? That's
being banned from a Hooters one time.
Okay, let's talk about that.
Same. I think different circumstances.
Yeah, no. So I was with my best friend Victoria, and I went to go see her. This was like her first job, We were like 19 years old. And I go visit her, and her husband was there with me, and my boyfriend too at the time. And like one thing turns into another. Like one girl like gets jealous at her job, and apparently she was like dating like the dishwasher in the back, And so we go to leave. We're like, okay, this is kind of weird, too much going on. So we leave, and this guy comes around the corner, and he corners all of us, and he just looks at my boyfriend and Victoria's husband and goes, "Is it you? Is it you?" And he points at Preston and is like, and he starts beating him up. It was so scary.
Oh, wow.
Absolutely terrible. And what's crazy is this is in Fort Worth. Police time is way better than Dallas.
I got in a fight once a couple years ago.
Yeah.
And my wife was on the side of the guy I was in a fight with.
Yeah.
I was like, "What are we doing here?" like she I didn't start the fight. I did finish it, but after it was But after it was over, my wife was like, "Stop, Josh, stop!" And I was like, "Whoa, come on! I'm defending myself." So yeah, that was. It sounds like you were at least on your person's side. So caller. Yeah. I almost forgot.
Ron.
Ron. I almost forgot that you were here while we're having this intimate conversation.
I go by Metal World Peace now.
Okay.
Oh.
I'm sorry for for dead naming you.
NWP. I am curious. So the cops come. What happens? I assume they didn't arrest anybody.
Yeah, they didn't arrest anyone. They did come. They took their time. They watched the video a bunch of times. They zoomed in.
Instant replay.
Yeah. And they did say, like, if they see the guy on site, they will arrest him. And they said, I'm sure you can imagine he's not going to stick around. And yeah, they didn't find him. The case did get forwarded to I think the city attorney or whatever the term is.
Yeah, the prosecutor. Yep. District attorney.
Yeah. I followed up with them. No response. I called multiple times, left emails, voice messages, nothing. They just ignored the situation. So yeah, my city sucks.
I have so many thoughts about all of this. So there's part of me that's like, well, that's even a silly thing to call the cops for. This is just basketball. And then another part of me is like, well, of course that's illegal. Like you can't just because you're playing a sport. And then like, does it matter what sport? Like if you're playing hockey, it's okay to fight, but if you're playing like horseshoes or something, maybe not so much. And it's a context is everything too. And then I don't know.
This is a crazy one. So I'm a lifelong basketball player as well. I love the game, and this happens all the time where, I'll just say for me personally, so I'm speaking as a basketball player, not a lawyer right now. Right. So Josh the lawyer, let's just pause that for a second. This is Josh the basketball player. When we play basketball, especially in pickup, there's this consent to let other people touch me. Right. It's in a normal situation. If I'm at a bar and someone comes up to me and they just start elbowing me, that's like, whoa, dude, what are you doing? In a basketball game, that's normal. You're allowed to push me. You're allowed to elbow me in certain ways. The line that has always been on site for me is like, you'll get guys that like come under your legs on purpose when you're like jumping, or they push you in the back when you're jumping. And so I've had foot surgery and a knee surgery. I will not like. I can't even tolerate that a little. Like it's not even like it'll be one warning, but like if the guy does it again, it's like to me we're already fighting. So like again, this is not me speaking as a lawyer. This is me speaking as a basketball player. It goes from physical games to someone trying to hurt someone, but it's still within the game. So like in the NBA, you'll see a player get angry and they clothesline a player. They hit him in the head. They elbow them in the head on purpose. But that's not an assault charge. That's just a flagrant foul. Because like in the game, there's still rules for it. But in a pickup game, there's no such thing as a flagrant foul. It's just you kind of getting assaulted. So I guess we should now do the legal analysis. But I'm saying I've been there. Like fights in pickup basketball, like they happen a lot.
So one of the phrases, it's interesting. There was a study done about what are the laws around this, and it was actually done by the Canadian government related to hockey, right? Because hockey's even a harder one.
Yeah.
Very few sports have like a penalty for fighting, right?
Yeah.
Like fighting is just like so outside of the rules, it's very different. Growing up in Wisconsin, I imagine guys getting in fights all the time on the rink, not that big of a deal,
Right.
but at some point it crosses the line, right? And so the language that is often used, kind of stem from hockey, is whether the degree of force used exceeds that which could be anticipated by a player in consenting to participate in the sport. So it's more than just what the sport allows, but what could you reasonably expect to be having? Clothesline, that's starting to get in a little grayer area, right? Now, you pull out a gun, you shoot somebody, definitely over the line, right? And so those are some of the incidents here, right? We know basketball, sharp elbows, sure. Shoving, sure. Beyond that, that's when you start getting in this area where, like, yeah, that sounds like a crime, right? Whereas, again, I think your example is good. If you were in a bar and someone shoved you, that's already a crime.
Absolutely. Well, I didn't know there was even a difference between like professional and like a normal game that you would play, the difference between fighting and stuff. Like if he bumped into you, that's okay. But then if he like elbows you in a bigger game, like that's okay.
I think it's hard for people who don't play the sport to understand like there's an amount. Basketball, surprisingly to people that don't play, there's more contact in it than you might imagine.
Right.
And it's sometimes a physical game, but then it's dirty. And then there's plays that are even worse than dirty. Because there's like dirty where like someone's holding your jersey to kind of keep you from going around a screen. And that's dirty, but no one's going to get hurt. But then the real dirty is pushing someone in the back when they're in the air. Because like that's how you tear an ACL, break a knee. So I'm glad that you're okay, caller. Like let's just start with that. I'm glad that you're okay.
Thank you.
I guess is your question, how do I like enforce pressing charges or like what do I do next?
Yeah, essentially, I guess my main question is should I just let it go or should I pursue it further? I mean, he did hit me in the head like 3-4 times. My son was sitting there on the court by him, like on the bench by himself while all this is happening. It's like a traumatizing experience. So
yeah. Now you said
what do you think? Should I let it go or should I do something about it?
Was this a men's league?
Yep.
So you have the name of the guy, right?
Yep, we gave all the information about the guy as well.
I mean, I feel like he could file a lawsuit. I mean, lawsuits have been filed for less. Lawsuits have been filed for less.
I
So
think
much
so
time.
let's go back to his
so much
question,
energy and money.
And I think your language is right. Is what you could do versus what you should do.
Right.
Yeah.
Shane, I think you're probably edging towards what we're all thinking here, which is the juice isn't worth the squeeze. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's I mean, it's. I'm sorry you got beat up in front of your son too. You know, that's got to be particularly painful. But I mean, listen. I think if there's hospital bills suddenly that like ups the ante, it's like you know, it's like I have right now. I have like a venue that owes me money. And it's like, it's right along a cusp of like is that worth like the amount of money and my time to like go after
hold that
this
thought.
person?
I'd love to do that as a separate like live call.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a similar thing as like, well, if your head hurt for a couple days and you got some bruises, like what do you accomplish out of that? And then and now you might alienate yourself to the men's league. I
think
know.
it's still important to explain that there are options, because in this particular case, I don't think I would. If you called me and you were like, "Hey, Josh, as a lawyer, should I file charges?" I'd be like, "I think that the cost and the time and the energy versus what you could get in terms of damages probably doesn't make sense." Yeah. But take the same fact pattern. I've seen people in fights like break their teeth and now they need like $4,000 or $5,000 worth of dental work, right? So I think it's important to understand that suing is an option in these types of circumstances, even if it isn't right for this caller.
I mean, couldn't you potentially get a note from say his game has been becoming increasingly intense and like these things are happening more and more and someone needs to do something? Can't you have a lawyer, write something with a letterhead that's basically just like, hey, next time something like this happens, we're going to pursue, just as a deterrent to kind of get everyone to like calm down a little
it's
bit.
kind of basic punishment theory, right? Like you're like either compensation for a harm, or deterrence so it doesn't happen again, or justice because of some moral code. So I think in the justice sense is why we're even here in the first place, because the guy definitely did something wrong. He took what would have been just a game, kind of aggressive, type of playing, and took it way too far, actually caused you harm in front of your son, which the law does not actually care about, FYI. Not that it's not real. I'm just telling you the law does not care.
I think there's something else here. So are there multiple places that the basketball games are played at for this men's league, or is it like one facility?
Pretty much, yeah, just one facility.
Do you play in other basketball leagues? Are there other opportunities like playing pickup at a LA Fitness or something that you might run into this guy?
Yeah, I mean, potentially he's probably from Torrance. So, I mean, that's a good question because for days I was scared like that this guy was going to pull up somewhere.
Yeah, no,
I mean, you can see this guy looks like a thug. He's probably,
So like a
he's got
restraining order might
guns.
make sense.
Go ahead,
A
Alyssa.
restraining order might make sense.
That's
in
what I
that
was getting
regards,
to. Yeah, I think it might be worth looking at filing a restraining order or a protective order, with the thought being that if he ever did anything in the future, you've now already set yourself up defensively. And all that's going to do is it's going to say, hey, he's not allowed to be around you. This is a guy that's already assaulted you in the past. What I would hate to happen for this caller is a year from now he signs up for a men's league and he shows up to the game, and who's the guy on the other team? It's this guy who's already assaulted him outside of the game.
Yeah.
And so I'd like to give him a mechanism to at least say, okay, you have to stay away from me. And I don't even know how they would do it at that point. I don't know if he would have to leave.
Let me back up. Let's just, before we get off into that speculation, caller, if a year from now you were signed up for a league and this guy was on another team, would you quit the league because that guy was there?
Honestly, I would just consider not even playing in the game.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
and I'm not judging you.
I didn't realize this was like impeding your ability to play.
Exactly.
That's a different scenario. Like if you can't even talk to the guy, it's one thing if me and my buddy get out of hand fighting on a basketball court and like we consider pressing charges, and then a week later go like, what are we doing? We're old friends. We gotta play. We gotta move on with our lives here.
I think I'm leaning towards the TRO or some type of filing of that for whatever it has locally. I don't know California.
I'm going to tell you, I think that's too aggressive.
Listen,
but I'll tell you why in a second. Go ahead.
The police were already called and his name was already given, right? So like if this happens again, like his name's already because it's my understanding. I've dealt with the police outrageous number of times in my life. I've lived a wild life, and it seems to be like I've been mugged before, and they kind of ultimately decided to like not try. It was kind of crazy that they didn't pursue charges at this time, but then I was brought into court later on to testify about what had happened because this person was involved in like another incident later on, and so they're trying to build a case of a history of behavior with this person.
That's pretty common, and here's why I say the TRO is not the best option right now.
I'll fight you if you disagree with me.
I love it. I love it. That
and then just say it was basketball afterwards. I thought we were playing basketball.
Hey, Billy, you want to play basketball? Okay, great. Here we go.
First of all, I'm 5'7". No one would believe that I was actually in that situation. But here's the thing. Notice how when Josh just made that threat, that's actually what courts will use to determine if you are under a present threat. Is there a real incredible threat in order to essentially bind the body of a person and say you cannot be within a certain jurisdiction or a certain distance, or you can't go to these certain places. I don't think because of one fight, even if you reasonably have a fear that this will happen, will likely get in front of a judge who sees women abused by their husbands multiple times, people getting shot, all this stuff. They're probably not going to do it. Also, I'll tell you the cost to do that is fairly high. But there are things in the interim you can do, one of which you've already done. Put the name in the police report. Why? Because if anything ever happens again, you need to be able to go back and look, hey, this thing happened before. If you go to another league and this guy's there, I think it's totally fair for you to be like, look, we filed a police report because this game got out of hand. That's one thing. This guy took it 3 levels above that. The police, were involved. You can't do anything with the district attorney. They either care or they don't. I'll tell you, where we live here in Dallas, like, you can pretty much speed anywhere because they've just got so many murders to deal with, right? So, like, it always depends on the city. You could always go down there. That might help them to get it done. Here's the other thing is they can also give you a piece of paper, or depending on the jurisdiction you're in, we'll send you some of these resources that acts like a small version of a TRO.
Yeah.
So it's not like the full-on version where you have to hire a lawyer and go do it. The authorities themselves can do a criminal district attorney version of that that doesn't require you to get a lawyer to do it. So.
Okay. Caller, I know we might not have like the perfect solution to your scenario, but do you feel like you got to talk through it today? Do you feel like you were heard?
Hell yeah. I mean, man, I've been thinking about this all, since it happened, and you guys gave me so much different perspective on, so many different points. So yeah, super appreciative, and man, you guys are pros. Keep it going.
Thank you.
Can I offer a little bit, if you are like legitimately worried about your safety, I might recommend, if you find a basketball court near a Hooters, I think that the police will get there faster. From everything that I gather, if a Hooters calls,
That's a good one.
They are Johnny on the spot.
Science requires you try the one next to the Hooters and also the one next to a donut shop. So
There you go. If there's
name
gonna be
it the
a ton of police
Donut
officers.
League, and then they might be there instantly.
All right, caller, thank you so
right.
much for calling
Good
in today.
idea.
Good luck with that situation.
Yep. Take care, fellas. Bye.
All right. Yeah. All right. Wow. What do you think about that first caller?
That was awesome. It was pretty cool.
I'm still thinking about Hooters, believe it or not.
How is that on your mind?
Well, I just had too many things come up where, first of all, there was just so many conflicts in my mind with this situation. There was so your friend was dating the dishwasher.
No, so like my best friend got a job there. Like that was like her first job, and she only like did a week or something. I was like, this is crazy. So I go and I visit her with her husband and my boyfriend.
Okay.
And we go have dinner there, go visit her. And one of her coworkers, so like another girl, is like jealous or something, and her boyfriend is the dishwasher or something. We had no idea. So he comes out from the back and is standing out front and is waiting for us to come outside, and looks at both of the guys that we're with and just beats the shit out of
The
Victoria's.
dishwasher did.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I get that though.
Yeah.
First off,
Yeah, you get it.
I mean, you get
Listen.
angry being over a hot bowl
you're,
of water.
you're a dishwasher.
Yeah.
First off, you got the best dishwashing job on the planet.
Absolutely.
You have, first off, there's a waitress. She works at Hooters. She's somehow. She is underestimating her mate value here. She ends
I
up
totally agree.
with
this
the
is the
dishwasher.
Beauty and the Beast situation.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Well, I mean,
That girl was not that pretty though. Like, no, it was not something to
okay.
fight over. It
Yeah,
was
yeah.
ridiculous, you know.
That is the
But
thing.
she was working at a Hooters. You can't be
No,
that
not
ugly.
a 1990s Hooter. We're talking
Yeah,
2024 Hooters.
I will say Hooters are.
I feel okay. To the
I-
people at home, we're being too elitist.
Okay, hold on.
There's no such thing as an ugly Hooters waitress.
Hold on,
Okay,
hold
all
on.
women at Hooters are beautiful.
Yeah, I
Hold
mean,
on.
I feel like we're gonna get ourselves in legal trouble here just talking about. It's
a lot of Hooters.
For science purposes, let me just say one quick thing.
Yeah.
If you're listening to this episode and you think your Hooters has the best looking girls, go ahead and leave the link to the
No.
location in the comments.
Right.
And we will, for science, go and grade these Hooters locations. But Shane, what do you think?
Those outfits they need an update. There is nothing attractive about
The
those
tights or the
outfits.
pantyhose are
just everything.
awful.
I was at the Looney Bin Comedy Club in Tulsa, and there's a Hooters next to the hotel that I was staying at, and it's not that I wanted to be at Hooters. Like, okay, it was just the only food that was open at that place. And I go into Hooters, and there was a bartender there who was like gorgeous, like drop dead gorgeous, and we talked for like 20 minutes. And I was like, what are you doing in Tulsa? Like, what are you like? What are you like? There's so many things. Like, it's just, you're not, whatever God-given gifts and abilities that you've had. Like, trust me, Tulsa Hooters, you're min-maxing here. Like,
Yeah,
this is not the optimization.
Yeah, I do. I just listen. I find I don't go to strip clubs. I find all that like it's embarrassing. Being a guy is an embarrassing issue, but it's also like, what are you gonna do? Still attracted to women at the end of the day. Like I'm still a sucker for Hooters at the end of the. But it's like it's such a but it is fun. It struck me as funny that like, if you're a police officer and you get a call that there is a fight at Hooters, like, I'm dropping everything. And I'm there.
Oh,
that is
10 of
that's-
them showed up. Like, it wasn't one.
it's the
No, it
best
was a
We gotta
mess.
interview the waitresses,
Yeah,
all of them
It
again.
was ridiculous.
It's so entertaining.
Now,
If
young
you're-
lady, you were a witness to this crime, so I'm going to need to put you in the witness protection program. You can stay at my place for 3 months until I get bored.
There's so many different places that you can go out and be around attractive people. Like a Hooters is like, it's a poor
There's plenty of
taste.
other places.
It's just like, I just feel like you don't have. I don't mean to come off pretentious, but it's not the most sophisticated.
Hooters
place
is the
in-
Dollar General of strip
Look,
clubs.
It
Absolutely.
really is.
Look, anytime I'm feeling sophisticated, I don't go to Hooters. I go to Twin Peaks. Right?
There you go.
I bring my
That's
bubble
what-
pipe.
That's what I'm
yes,
trying
I bring my
to-
smoking jacket.
There you go.
A crisp $20 bill for some wings. Yeah.
But where like, can you off the top of your head, can you think of a place that police would go to faster? Like where, like, you're a police officer, you get an amusing call. What's the most amusing call that you get? I think it's one
Like a celebrity's house.
something
Yeah.
Like there's
jammed
a-
in a rectum.
I think it's like there's
Yeah.
a party.
Like someone fell in the shower onto a shampoo
Yeah.
bottle or something like that. You show up for that call, that's hilarious. Because don't you think police want to have like a story to tell their
Yeah.
buddies,
Yeah.
right? So you want to
Tom
Absolutely.
Cruise slips on a shampoo bottle.
Yeah.
So
You're going.
celebrity house,
Yeah.
a celebrity fight at a Hooters where someone slipped and
Ooh.
had something go
Yeah.
up there. Yeah.
I would say like a
Pete-
fire at a sorority.
P. Diddy's house, maybe?
P. Diddy's house. Ooh, okay.
No,
All
not
right.
going there. Yeet.
Yeah.
There's a fire at this sorority,
Yeah.
and everyone had to run out of the sorority. I don't know.
Hmm.
Yeah, okay. All right, these are the hard questions that we ask here at Hardly Legal. All right. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We're going to be here for you when you need that cheap date.